Hello! This is the JBL 200 Authentics. I know a lot of you guys have been looking out for this thing. This is a 90-watt speaker that kind of sits in the realm of luxury speakers. It's not cheap, but it's bringing something to the table a lot of luxury speakers haven't been lately, and that's Wi-Fi capability. It's also a big deal because it's the first time for Marshall or Sonos to kind of get worried because now they have a real competitor from JBL. And overall, do I think it's worth the price that they're asking for it, and if there's a better alternative out there for you? So let's check it out. All right, so we are talking about the build quality of the 200 here. Just off the bat, look at it. It's a weird looking 70s speaker. It's kind of goes off their L100 style with the weird foam cube bits on top. Look at how much bigger the 300 is here. While it's not that much bigger, it is significantly chunkier. There's at least another inch in height in here, and this thing is heavy. It takes quite a bit to lift it, whereas the 200 I can kind of lift with my own two hands. And then the Marshall here is definitely the lightest of the bunch. This is also a 60-watt speaker with two tweeters and a woofer here, whereas this has got the tweeters and then the massive bass underneath. That's a massive woofer, and it's going to sound a lot different because of that, because this thing's going to push air to the ground, whereas the Marshall is just going to push air forward. So it's you'll see in my loudness test later how it shakes up some of the toys on the table. In terms of the back here, that's where your microphone control is. No microphone, yes microphone with the green. You'll notice the Marshall here has a port or a vent there for air. This one doesn't really have that. I'm not quite sure how they engineered it. You've also got your Ethernet there, your USB 3.5, and you actually have the same power connection as you do on the Marshall here. Whatever those two circle things, the transformers built into the speaker itself. I will say, just looking at both of these, I prefer the control mechanism on the Marshall. I think the gold-plated top here is classy, and when they light up, it looks really good. I think it just looks better. Versus here, there's nothing wrong with this. Even though, well, it is like kind of a plasticky thing, it just doesn't feel quite as nice to me. I'm not quite as in love with the knobs on this, or the 300 for that matter. I think I prefer the Marshalls. The fact that this thing has Wi-Fi means that you could potentially get access to higher res, higher quality audio streams from Amazon Music or Tidal. In my first experience using this over Wi-Fi with Amazon Music and Tidal, I found it kind of confusing, frankly, and I wasn't really satisfied with whether or not I was getting hi-fi audio. What I found is that using apps natively, meaning the app by itself on the phone, works really well for Bluetooth, but when it comes to Wi-Fi and using the apps, a lot of times you'll go through the JBL One app and then you'll access either Amazon or Tidal through that, and it is just not as sophisticated of an experience. It's kind of like the app went back about 5 or 6 years in terms of user interoperability. In fact, on Tidal, I couldn't even get the music to work. So I'm not real satisfied with using this thing under Wi-Fi. So I think that feature may be a little bit TBD down the road. Now you might be wondering, Danny, this is a 90-watt speaker. How loud is it? Well, I did a test and I have the results for you, and I think you're going to be a little surprised. All right, we're doing a quick volume test at max volume. Here we're going to do 1,000 hertz, see what we get. About 113. JBL 300. Okay, here's the Marshall. 1,000 hertz. About 110.5. Who knew that this thing would push out the same amount of loudness as its bigger brother in certain frequencies? And that was with it plugged in. So honestly, you're getting quite a bit with this guy. So for our sound test today, I'm going to be comparing the 200 to a few other, I think, direct competitors in the market, like the Acton 3 and its bigger brother, the 300, as well as the Klipsch, the 1-2, just to see how it stands up next to the competition. So get your earphones on if you've got them. It'll sound a little bit better. And let's take a little listen with our little ears.
You were burning like a summer in my heart till you found another northern star, following a lover right out of my ocean. And I was broken, but you know what they say, time's got a good way of healing. I'm back on my feet and I'm happier than ever, like I never thought forever was you. My skies are blue, dancing kind of weather, back together like I wasn't into. Thought I was doomed, but I moved through the heartache mood. I don't care what you do. I'm happier than ever, so much better without you. Without you, without you. Happier without you. Picking up the pieces of a dream. Every little thing I thought we'd be. Learning how to let go of all the ways you burned me. And I was hurting, but you know what they say.
Okay, so you heard all of them. Overall, the consensus is that the JBL sounds super solid. It has a super well composed balance of sounds from the bass to the treble. I would say that the Marshall, to me, does have a bit more shimmer that I find very attractive in the treble, whereas the JBL, even if I boost up the treble on this, it doesn't quite match the same level as the Marshall. It's got a little bit more subdued sound. And I was actually very impressed by the Klipsch the 1-2, which is now a pretty old speaker. So that's kind of like maybe a wolf in sheep's clothing if you don't want to upgrade to something quite as expensive as this. I will say though, what really stands out to me is that I honestly think this JBL 200 is pretty much as good as the 300. Honestly, I would say if you were really dead set on getting the JBL with the Wi-Fi features, I'd opt for the 200 over the 300. If you truly want the bass and the portability, then maybe it makes sense to step up to the 300 here. But this thing is expensive. It's a lot of money, and it's not necessarily that much better. It just has the portability, I'd say, is probably the only thing. Ask yourself, what does your heart tell you? I know that sounds real lame, but honestly, like, which one of these speakers gives you the best gut feeling about how it's going to present itself in your life and fill up your living room? And every time you look at it, it's going to make you happy to look at. That's what I would say is the biggest question you should worry about. All four of the speakers we listened to sound really good. We're Nat's butts here. Do I like the 200? Yes, I think it's a pretty solid speaker. Anyways, thanks for watching. If I did help you make a decision on this speaker, if you want to help me out, you can use my affiliate links below. That's one way I generate money to help pay for these speakers and keep the lights on here. So regardless though, I'm happy you stayed till the end. You get a Hot Chicks Van Star. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think in the comments. See you later. Bye. Goodbye. Don't look at me anymore.